My intentions for visiting Safford, Arizona were to explore the area and relax in a local hot spring. But as I headed down a steep rocky grade, it was apparent that things may turn out differently than what I had planned. If you look in the background, you'll see the road that I came in. And yes, it's really steep, and it may be a challenge to get up it again because it's all full of rocks. I think this used to be a gravel pit, but it's also a ravine with a dry riverbed going through it. Now, why did I camp here? The simple reason was shelter. It was really windy the last couple of days, and up on the ridge it would have been really hard to camp with all the wind and the cold because I get that wind right off the mountain. So I camped down here. Now, it doesn't look that attractive, but it all depends on your perspective, because when you look at it at another angle, you see that I'm actually camped in a beautiful bed of flowers. This is February in Arizona. My camping spot was just a few miles southeast of Safford, Arizona. Just take Highway 191 to Heichel Road, and at the first sharp turn, follow the gravel road. It's a land of extremes in color and texture. From the vibrant hues of the flowers to the rugged cracks in the mud. Well, I'm kind of used to picking up garbage, but here's something I might actually be able to use. It's a little pot with 2 spouts on it. Don't know what it's used for, but I think it could be handy. Well, now the light is a little bit more favorable, and I actually can wear a t-shirt because it's warmer. I wanted to show a few changes I've made to the solar panels. Now, I've done several videos on my solar panels, and I have to tell you, I rely on these 100%. I do not use a generator. I use solar, and I use propane when I need it only. So, what have I done recently? I have replaced the 2 panels that I originally had. The ones that cracked and failed are now gone. And what I have a year ago, if you saw my California video, I still have the All Powers, the PET at the bottom, but at the top I've got the Renogy ETFE panel. One thing I really like about the Renogy panels is that you can actually see where the wires are. They're visible on the front, whereas on the PET panels, there is no indication where the wires are. So if there's a failure, you'll never find it on the PET. But on the ETFE Renogy panels, you can trace it back. Very smart design. Let me say that I greatly appreciate the constructive support I get from my videos. And when I did a video on the failed panels, I got a lot of suggestions and ideas, and so I thought I'd try them. One of them is that some people thought it failed because in transportation, because there was no support in the middle of the panels, they were flapping about. And if I push on this hard, you can see it just barely, it just bends just a tiny little bit. However, let's go with that. And so what I did is I put 4 styrofoam squares all up and down, and I've got rubber pads underneath there and 4 little bumpers. And What that does is it gets support in the middle of the panels. So once this comes down, it's flat on the roof and there is no issues with vibration or it flapping around. It was a good suggestion. Thank you. I should also add that when it's really windy, I don't angle my panels, I keep them flat. As soon as the sun went down, the temperature dropped dramatically. Whoa! As you can see, the sun's just coming up. It's a cold one. That's why you can hear the furnace in the background. It's all frosted up. My water started to freeze. So yeah, it's a little cold. At 19 degrees Fahrenheit, the frost glittering on your solar panels is kind of pretty. Ooh, it's cold. But it also reveals another function, as frost shows how evenly the cells heat up on your solar array. Notice the hot spot in the top panel. In a few seconds, more are revealed. At least I know the current is flowing. A little too chilly for a bike ride, and even this puddle was frozen. But rather than be a stick in the mud, it wasn't all doom and gloom. For me, the best part of this location isn't the valley, it's up that hill. Let me take you there using my Steadicam. Okay, this was really just an excuse to practice my technique. The challenge was to get up that loose gravel bank with both hands on the camera and not really watching where I'm going. Not a great technique if you're on the edge of a cliff, but it is good to improve your peripheral vision. And there it is, Mount Graham, the only mountain in the area over 10,000 feet. Now, doesn't this remind you of an alpine meadow instead of a desert? But there's still one ingredient missing in this image: motion. Now is a good time to bring out that same homemade slide bar I used in my Mojave Rising video. Two metal broom handles guide the camera on a roller platform. Easy to make and use, and the results are worth the effort every time. I'd actually expected to spend a few days in this location, but on my way back from the trek, I got some important news. A winter storm warning had been posted for the area, and it was not something I could safely ignore. Well, it seems pretty official. There's a storm coming this way, and I'm camped in a ravine and a potential floodplain. So guess what? I gotta get out of here. Now I've got till noon tomorrow, so my next plan is if I can't get up that hill, I'd better find another way of getting out of here. In following the road the other way, I discovered it had washed out in a few areas. Sure glad I brought a little shovel. Nothing fancy for dinner that night, just elbow macaroni and baked beans. First thing in the morning, with the clouds coming in on the horizon, I set out to escape the ravine before the storm hit. The washed out area was pretty easy to navigate. I just had to go slow and steady. Fortunately, there was a second way up the hill that wasn't as steep as the first, but it was a lot more rocky. I really wish I'd installed brakes in my trailer, as the one concern with climbing up steep grades is the trailer could actually pull you backwards should you start to slip. In this case, it wasn't that extreme. However, it was a bumpy ride. Yeah. I did it. There's the mountain. Right on cue, the big clouds started to form. Now, of course, I'm used to winter, but winter storms are best avoided, so I cut this trip short and headed on. Well, the irony of it all is though I beat that storm, now there's another one. But this one is a severe windstorm, and it's just on the horizon over there right now. It's not in this video, it'll be in the next one. I'm sorry I had to cut this a little short, but there will be more adventures ahead. I really hope you can join me on the next part of my travels.